Joining us now, senior NBA insider for ESPN, ladies and gentlemen, friend of the program, Charania.
Yeah.
Whoa, Shams, you look good, brother. You look very good.
Pat, were you recovering from the Toradol injections while the Pacers and Hallie were going up 3-1? Is that what was going on Sunday?
Well, Toradol injections, interesting. I found a pill. It sounds like you're in the middle of a gymnasium. I'm happy that is the case. Nice little echo there. Yes, yesterday was a tough day. Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. We appreciate you doing it all the time. Happy Mother's Day to my mom. Happy Mother's Day to Sam's mom. Happy Mother's Day to Sam. Happy Mother's Day to every mom out there. We appreciate the hell out of you.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, this is a little different Mother's Day for me than in the past. I was in a bad spot.
Yeah.
I was in a bad spot. As this Toradol was, as vitamin T, as we like to call it, was kind of wearing off. Obviously, the body starts feeling a little bit more. But we enjoyed Mother's Day. We enjoyed what the Pacers did. We enjoy where the association is. Okay, so where should we start? Do you want to start with tonight's draft lottery, Shams, or do you want to talk about everything else happening? Because Utah Jazz, obviously, are in the mix to become number 1 overall pick. There are numerous teams that could potentially change their entire franchise, becoming number 1 overall pick to get Cooper Flagg, as you potentially get an updated news briefing right there. Shams, what do you think we should be looking for the draft lottery tonight? How do you think this goes off?
Yeah, there are a bunch of layers, I think, intertwined. I think you look at the draft lottery tonight, it's about who gets number 1. So the Cooper Flagg sweepstakes are very much underway. And then Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey. This is a deep draft overall. And I think you definitely look at the top of the draft, and then Cooper is the eye of the storm on this NBA draft. So that's where everyone's eyes are at right now. And along with all that, I think Cooper is the topic of everything, but Giannis Antetokounmpo and where he ends up, I reported this morning, for the first time in his career, he is open to exploring potential options outside of Milwaukee. And he's talked over the last few years, Pat, about, if I feel like Milwaukee's not a place that can win a championship. He's like, he said on his brother's podcast last month, Thanasis Antetokounmpo's podcast last month, that if I don't win a championship again, he's not going to be able to essentially sleep at night after he's retired.
Forever?
And so I'm very interested to see what happens with his future. I'm hearing like a bunch of echoes even in my ears.
Yeah, it's a lot. We're probably just going to FaceTime you here, actually, after you give this answer.
Okay. Yeah, I think he's the one that all 30 NBA teams are keeping an eye on, because he's 30 years old, in the prime of his career. For a player like that to potentially be available, there's going to be 29 teams calling the Bucks. You're going to see teams that are in this lottery tonight that could be moving up, depending on where they end up in this lottery, could have some ammunition to go after a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo. And he's been 12 years there. We know how extremely loyal he is, but that's a Bucks organization now. They just don't have many ways to really improve this team to being a true championship contender.
Okay, we'll continue a follow-up on on the massive draft lottery evening and NBA playoffs tonight. Go ahead, Con, man.
Well, it's crazy him saying all 30 teams. Like, you would assume that even with like the Bucks, and he meant 29, whatever, but you'd assume the East, they wouldn't even consider trading him to a team in there. But could you imagine, he's obviously talked about the Celtics being a team that has to change a lot of stuff after the season. Like the Sixers, they have a chance to completely change their entire team just because they could trade, Embiid, Paul George, and their projected, top 5, top 7 pick, and then have Giannis and Tyrese Maxey. Like, that would completely change the Eastern Conference and NBA.
Yeah, I think from talking to you, Shams, earlier today, everybody's going to be interested in Giannis.
Everybody.
We talked to J.R. Smith last week. J.R. Smith is like, Giannis isn't as easy as just plug and play as like a shooter would be, because Giannis is going to take, like, that is a Giannis train that you are bringing in there. Teams are going to have to be prepared for that. He's obviously, ladies and gentlemen, joining us, Shams Charania. Shami, we appreciate you joining us. Now, we were just chit-chatting, and Connor laid out a couple teams. He was like, why not Philly? Maybe giving up Embiid and Maxey to try to get up there. Will tonight be the night that people will try to make moves for Giannis, or what are kind of the next steps here? Because I know it was breaking news this morning whenever you said that Giannis is at the point to kind of explore other options. We all assumed that was going to be the case, I think, with the way this has kind of been going. Would tonight be a night where those conversations will happen, or what is a timeline, a realistic timeline here for the Giannis movement to actually take place?
So what tonight is going to show us is which teams that get into lottery positioning move up in the draft. You have a higher pick, a team that might move up from maybe being 7, 8, being higher, and possibly getting 1, 2, 3, and having more possible ammunition to go get and make offers to the Bucks for Giannis Antetokounmpo. So that'll be part of the picture. But this process with Giannis Antetokounmpo, that's going to play out over the course of this week. Why this week in Chicago at the draft combine is so important. All 30 NBA teams are here. All their decision makers are here. Giannis Antetokounmpo's representatives are actually based in Chicago. So naturally, there's going to be a level of dialogue and discussion that's going to take place all throughout the league, team to team. There's going to be a lot of due diligence that teams are going to be doing. And so this is an active exploration process for Giannis Antetokounmpo, from my understanding. And it's going to be one that I think you measure between now and the NBA draft in June. And I think by that point, there will be answers. And for a lot of it, it's like, what is the sensible path for Giannis, and where makes the most sense? If it is outside of Milwaukee, that's somewhere he's been for 12 years. He has equity there. But is there a place that gives him a few things? Long-term sustained winning. That's something that he wants. Does he have the ability to have that in Milwaukee? It's looking like probably not. But if it is somewhere else, where is that place? And I think another factor in all this, Pat, is if you are going somewhere else, is what co-star is there for Giannis Antetokounmpo that's in place? Because this is someone we saw in the playoffs this year against your Pacers. What did he average? Like 33, 16, and 7 or something? Like, his numbers are ridiculous. He was the only player in the NBA to average, I think it was like 30, 15, and 5 this year. And so I think that might be the only player in history to do that with those numbers. So Giannis Antetokounmpo is a one-of-one player. He's arguably the best player in the NBA. He's in the prime of his career. These types of players aren't, coming around often. And so the ability to get that for any team, that's in the forefront. That's in everyone's mind here in Chicago. I've been saying it since this morning. This is really the summit of Giannis Antetokounmpo that's going on here at the draft combine.
Okay, so we said we just assumed that this was going to happen with Giannis. That is not the case, I guess. That's why this news breaking this morning from you was such a big deal. And if anybody's giving you an update right now on it, you can certainly just say that publicly here, and you can read whatever text you're
What I'm working on right now actually is trying to get you guys an update on Donovan Mitchell. And his injury with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Okay, we'll be excited to hear that here further along the conversation. But for Giannis being on the move, we just assumed that was going to happen with the way the chatter was going. That is not a good assumption, I guess, that we had over the last week or so.
I mean, with these things, you just don't know because a player, there's always going to be levels of frustration right after the year that they had and the loss that they had at the end of the season. The way your Pacers won in crazy dramatic fashion, and it's like. The one thing with the Bucks can at least wake up and say, we're not the only team that this happened to. That literally happened to the Cavaliers earlier in this series against the Cavs. What the Pacers have done in 2 games this year, it's historic. And so, but the way they lost, the emotions from that, you kind of take some time to debrief. And listen, you have to say a lot about that relationship with Giannis in Milwaukee. He spent 12 years there. The relationship that the ownership group there has, John Horst, the general manager there has with Giannis Antetokounmpo, his representatives, like that all matters, right? And so the fact that now he's at the point where the exploration, the process of seeing what else could be a fit, that is what's I think the new revelation for team executives here in Chicago that they're now going to pursue.
Okay, so now his agent, if this is anything like football, his agents now will be pounding the pavement, seeing a phone, seeing what teams are potentially interested, and that's every team in the NBA, and is that how this process goes?
Well, I think every team in the NBA will certainly do their due diligence. Like, I think there's going to be some teams, even in this lottery tonight, that have been bottom dwelling. I'll just put it like not the Philadelphias, not the but I'm saying teams that, are at the bottom of the standings. Even they're going to look into a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo and see, can we bring him in? Because he has the ability, like, even in Milwaukee, if he stays there, he has the ability to make them a playoff contender year in and year out, just how great he is as a player.
So, but the question is for him is he wants to compete for championships. He wants to be in the best long-term sustained place where he can compete for a second championship. And obviously, probably not going to be with one of those bottom-dwelling teams. But all of them are going to look into a guy like Giannis.
Okay, sweet. We're excited to see what it is. Giannis, come to Indiana.
Why not?
Got respect for each other, obviously. Want to win championships, come to Indiana.
So Pat, what I can say, I can report it here now. Giannis is so much in my mind. Donovan Mitchell, the Cleveland Cavaliers All-NBA star guard. I'm told he had an MRI today. He's been diagnosed essentially with a re-aggravation of an ankle injury that he's been dealing with. So he re-aggravated his ankle, and I'm told it's expected that he's going to be a game-time decision for Game 5. So Donovan Mitchell had his MRI today, and my understanding is it's a re-aggravation of an ankle injury, and he's expected to be a game-time decision for Game 5.
I mean, that would be a devastating blow for the Cleveland Cavaliers, especially in a must-win game for them as the Pacers are up 3-1. He has been spectacular during this year. Obviously, he's been spectacular all season for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Against the Pacers in Indiana the other night, Connor went to watch him on Friday. He hung 40 up there, and it was like he was playing a different sport. Hopefully, he's okay. Now, as a Pacer fan, I'm very sorry to hear that about Cleveland. But he's going to be hobbled if he even plays, right? That's what it sounds like, and that's a big piece of...
I mean, the way he looks right there, I mean, it looks like he's in extreme discomfort. And the other thing, Pat, is like, I feel like, listen, shout out to the Pacers. They're taking advantage of the situation. That's what a lot of the playoffs is about, is matchups, injuries. Do you make the right game plan adjustments? For sure. Give them their credit. Back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals, potentially. That's a big effing deal.
Yeah.
But you have to also make the point, like Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, DeAndre Hunter. This is a Cavaliers team that has been absolutely ravaged by injuries at the worst possible time.
Okay, yeah. Donovan hung 40 on Friday. I understand what you're saying, and they had a lot of people playing. This is this whole story last year.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's become a story. Yeah, injuries happen, and this sucks that it's happening.
That's what I'm saying.
Despite
it is super impressive for the Pacers to make it to the conference finals. And I gave them love the other day. What their front office has done, they're like eighth. They have the eighth. I don't want to say cheapest. They have the 8th lowest payroll in the NBA. To have the 8th lowest payroll in the NBA and to be in this position that they're in, I think to me it's just like you're scouting the right way, you're drafting the right players, you're trading for the right players, and shout out to the dogs in Indianapolis, because Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner, those guys just love the game, and they go hard.
Yeah, they definitely do. Shout out to Kevin Pritchard, president of basketball ops there. He can find the dogs. Dogs only here for the Pacers, and it's evident whenever they play. And maybe he goes and swoops around in the football world, too, over at West 56 for the Indianapolis Colts. We shall see. Kevin Pritchard doing a great thing. Pacers doing a great thing. Donovan, it sucks that you are hurt. You have been incredibly fun to watch. Hopefully he's back for Game 5. If not, hell of a year thus far.
Whoa.
I'm not. 96% of the time, I think, is what it is whenever you're up 3-1 in basketball, is ending up winning.
Put 'em away.
And the Pacers need to put them away. Sucks it could potentially be without Donovan Mitchell. Now, let's move to the other side of the bracket here for the playoffs. D-Butt has a question for you.
Yeah, I want to move to this Denver OKC matchup and starting and speaking on Joker. You know, Joker has struggled a little bit. Jokic, the last 3 games at least, 33% shooting percentage, only 21 points a game. What's going on there? And we're going to have any adjustments as far as rotation-wise, because he plays a ton of minutes, and I feel like they only really have like a 6-man rotation out there at Denver, opposed to what OKC has when they're playing pretty much the whole squad. Any updates coming from Denver, and if they're going to change any rotations?
The one good thing that I think Nuggets fans, DB, can look at is like Nikola Jokic. He's struggling for sure, but he's not losing his aggressiveness. He's not losing how he's interacting with his teammates. He's not sulking. Like he's as active as ever. And so that is the one saving grace. I trust when you look at players like Nikola Jokic, I trust that he'll snap out of whatever rut he's in. Same as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's of course he hasn't played up to the 30-40 point potential that we saw from him in the regular season. But those guys are so great. I think they'll snap out of it. Denver has been playing for their lives for like 3-4 weeks now, 5 weeks now, from standing where they're going to be. Nikola Jokic has been playing through an elbow injury. He's been playing through a lot, and like the schedule, I know their coach David Adelman made a deal about it. I saw Charles Barkley said something about the scheduling. Them playing essentially 36 hours after their prior game for a veteran-laden team. That's probably not the most rest time you can get in a guy like Nikola Jokic. So I think everyone in Denver is just believing that he'll snap out of this, but that was a big win for Oklahoma City yesterday. Other guys contributed. Other guys stepped up. You had Isaiah Hartenstein, Chet Holmgren, J-Dub, Jalen Williams stepped up in some moments. So they're showing that they can win even when Shai Gilgeous-Alexander might not be going off for the 30, 40-point games that we saw in the regular season.
Watching Oklahoma City win, it's like a nice reminder of this is why they were who they were all season. It was still tough for me to believe that Joker and the boys weren't going to be able to figure it out. Maybe that is the case. Maybe OKC is able to dance. Maybe they are the team of destiny.
I don't want to toot my horn. What did I say on, was it Friday or Thursday here? This series is going 6 or 7. Yeah. Now it's official. This series is going 6 or 7. I would not be surprised.
Wow.
And I don't even make picks. I don't even make picks.
Yeah, you said it's going 6 or 7. You might as well. You pick some games.
I would not be surprised if it goes 7. This is a series where Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic. If you're Denver, you have a chance in any of these games with those two guys. And we haven't even seen Jokic really be that player. He hasn't shot efficiently. But again, the biggest thing for them is he's still doing his thing.
He's been coaching, too. Everybody wants to be on the floor and on a sideline. I mean, what do you want from this guy?
Is he taping ankles, too?
Well, he's also the mascot. I heard he's doing halftime entertainment. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on for the Joker of these pregame entertainment with the suit he wore. I like that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I like everything the Joker's doing. I wish he could piece it together, although I understand that Oklahoma City feels like they have a team that can maybe go on a run. Let's talk about the West. Great shit here. Great.
So cool.
This is what I'm talking about, Joker. Yeah. This is what I'm talking about.
That's a nice suit, though. That's a nice suit. I got to give it up.
Yeah, and Joker wouldn't normally do this type of thing. Wouldn't play these types of games beforehand. Dressing up like Heath Ledger, obviously from A Dark Knight, as the Joker. I mean, that is awesome. Everything that
That's my favorite movie, by the way.
That's
my favorite movie, by the way.
Banger.
But what's the quote about being a hero or living long enough?
You either live long enough to be a hero or you
either die
botched it.
A hero.
You either die a hero, live long enough to
see yourself. Become the villain.
Become the villain. Become the villain. There you go.
Favorite movie, huh?
Yeah, watch that one.
All right, Sean. Okay, let's stay in the West, shall we? Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, Sean, I was looking at the other series. The Warriors still not playing with Steph Curry. I mean, that was unbelievable. You screwed that up so bad. People who haven't seen that movie know that quote. Just throwing that out there. But Steph Curry, is there any update on his hamstring? I saw a mic'd up of Anthony Edwards talking to Gary Payton III, basically saying like, hey, you guys are just trying to get to 6 so Steph comes back. Is that the case? Game 6 kind of shooting for that? And then also, how come Draymond is betting on the games?
Whoa.
Okay, he's not actually betting on the games, but how come there's this alleged
hold on. By the way, hold on. I got the line, all right? You either die a hero or you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
We see you reading. We just told you that we're past that, bro. Let's get back to the Golden State Warriors. You're an embarrassment to the NBA right now. Okay, so let's start with the last thing he said there about Draymond Green, though, because what he said isn't his actual feelings. That is just what was being said, especially whenever the clip comes out. Everybody knew that the spread was 5.5. Draymond Green is saying 5.5. I know what they're doing. I know what they're doing. Is he talking about refs? What do you think Draymond Green is talking about here? And I think that is a big story, too. Everybody's saying Draymond's betting on this. I don't think Draymond's betting on this. I think Draymond's saying, hey, somebody knows what this line is. What do you think he's saying? Have you got any answers, and what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I just see what everyone is you can pick up through the lip readers all across the internet. I mean, clearly he seems like he's saying what he's saying, the 5.5. First of all, it's impressive that, I don't know, maybe I just don't even pay attention to it. I have no idea what that is. But clearly, knows. Draymond knew in the moment, and this is not the first or the last time that a player has, I guess, tried to intimate that the refs. There was a time where Rudy Gobert actually, other players go like this. They show the money sign to the refs, and they get fined by the league by essentially improperly kind of implying things toward the officiating. So not sure if that's what we'll see here on this. Have not gotten any word on that front. But as far as on the court and Stephen Curry, the Warriors are just trying to win a game here tonight because they have to extend the series as much as they can to try to get to a game 6. Because my understanding is, and I said this the other day here, is that's really the earliest like safe, healthy window for them to bring Stephen Curry back from a hamstring strain. He had a grade 1 hamstring. I'm told his progression going into today was really like jogging, some movement into his jump shooting over the weekend. And I think the next step is trying to get him to the point where he can run fully, sprint fully, putt fully, take contact fully. Until you get to that point, there's not like a safe way to bring him back from a hamstring injury. And that organization has obviously, I think, been very measured and careful bringing back players from these significant, soft tissue muscle injuries. And Stephen Curry said the other day, this is the first muscle strain of this kind that he's ever dealt with in his 16-year NBA career. So I think they're going to take a careful approach. The next 2 days, I think, is to see, can you ramp them up into running and cutting and sprinting? But they got to win tonight. We're going to see a lot of Jimmy Butler. They're going to need more than just Jonathan Kuminga to step up. So you had Jimmy Butler at 33. Kuminga had 30. They need Gary Payton II, Draymond Green, Brandon Podziemski, Buddy Hield. They need another guy here tonight to have 20, 25 points and really bring some force to help Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga.
Good luck to all parties. The spread tonight's 5.5, Shams. Just so you know that. It's right there on the screen. So
again?
It's again 5.5. And I appreciate that Draymond's that is very much in the Draymond Green character, I guess. I should have assumed this. Him looking at the refs going, I know what you're doing. I know what you are up to. I know what you are doing. Like, I feel like that's a classic shit talk from a player who feels like they've even gotten screwed or something like that. And then in the NBA world, with what has happened decades ago in the NBA, what's that about? What was that?
It was just a text. It was just a text, but we're up to date.
No, that's called. Yeah, screen froze. We saw it.
We're up to date on everything we need to know.
Oh, everything we need to know. Okay, yeah. I'm giving you everything you need. Okay, don't you worry about that. What were you going to say there?
I'm pretty sure too. One of the rest was Scott Foster. I'm not 100% sure, but he's also he's one of the biggest heels in the NBA when it comes to referees specifically. So people were pissed about that.
I like Draymond talking shit to the refs because Draymond talks shit to everybody.
Yeah,
and he didn't look mad there, which is good.
No doubt.
Didn't look mad, which everybody was talking about last week. That was the big storyline. Let's keep it moving here. Ty has a question for you, Shams.
Shams, big game tonight, Celtics-Knicks. It's kind of become the MO of the Knicks during the Tom Thibodeau era that they kind of just run out of gas. This is what happened last year. We all know how many minutes, the starters play. And that was kind of the conversation this morning was, hey, 2 20-point comebacks in those first 2 games. But, we kind of saw the Celtics get right in game 3. Have the Knicks finally run out of gas? Like, did they kind of expend too much energy in those first 2 games? And does it feel like the Celtics are finally going to kind of take the reins on this series?
Smitty, I don't think the Knicks. I don't think this is about running out of gas for the Knicks. I think it's Jalen Brunson said it, like they got a little comfortable after getting up 2-0, and you have to bring a different level of fight now. And you saw the Celtics; they were playing desperate. And the scary part about the Celtics is we haven't even seen Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have like a breakout moment game. They both obviously played better in game 3, but they're both shooting inefficiently so far in this series, and they know it. And I expect them to rise to the challenge. I expect them to have a breakthrough moment in this series, and that's what you're kind of guarding against if you're the Knicks. Is like we haven't even seen the best of their big 2. Peyton Pritchard stepped up. Al Horford's playing big for them with Kristaps Porzingis sick. You're seeing a bunch of different guys, play heavy roles for them. So that's a positive. We're not seeing this team like the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think you can look at like they're running out of steam. And the crazy part is they balanced their entire season, watched minutes, did all the little things to make sure their guys would be prepped and ready for this time. Sometimes you just can't. Like that's what these playoffs are all about: is injuries, matchups, game plans, adjustments, right? Those 4 pillars. And you can't guard against injuries sometimes. And the Knicks last year got hit at the worst time. The Cavs are getting hit at the worst time. I think now you're seeing the Knicks. They're going to have to rise to the moment because they're healthy, all intents and purposes. Cat's been dealing with some finger stuff. But for the most part, this is a team that's ready. And obviously they're going to have a lot of pressure going into tonight because if the Celtics can even it up, going back, getting home court advantage back, it's like everything you worked for kind of being down the drain.
Celtics are favored by 6.5 tonight, Shams. There's a little piece of information for you to have as you go there. Quick thing on the Celtics here is we have somebody waiting in tow. Porzingis is dealing with lingering effects of a viral infection that has taken place. He's still playing, but nobody's worried about whatever he has spreading or anything like that. Do they know when he's going to potentially be through this? Because last time we talked to you, there was no answers. Doctors had no answers. Nobody had any answers on what was going on with him.
Pat, he's literally waking up every day hoping that he turns the corner and feels better. And I think, from my understanding, he felt like he was turning that corner right before the playoffs, and then he just had a crash. And so, again, I'm not a doctor, but from my understanding, what I hear is he dealt with a virus in March, and it was something that affected his energy levels. It zapped his energy. Immune boosters. I'm told he literally changed his entire sleep pattern to try to get more rest and sleeping, getting, way more sleep than he has in the past. And he felt like he turned the corner. And in his own words, he had a crash right before game 1 of this series. And we haven't seen Kristaps Porzingis really be that anchor and the big factor that we've known him to be as a Celtic. So definitely something to keep in mind and monitor here.
Yeah, and now Horford starting at 38 is pretty wild. Has Kristaps Porzingis tried ivermectin, Shams?
All right, let's move along here. Somebody say a prayer for a P. That's what I think we need.
I'm trying.
And that's what it sounds like he's doing. Ivermectin, I heard, is it's been around for a long, long time. Award-winning, I heard. Award-winning.
Trying everything.
Yeah, I mean, that name got real hot there a few years back. What ended up being the... forget it. We don't need to talk about it. Let's talk about tonight's draft lottery. AP Tone has the last question for you here, Shams.
Yeah, Shams, real quick, real easy. Which team is the lottery rigged for tonight? Is there any frozen envelopes or lottery balls tonight? What are the chances? Who's capturing the flag tonight? It's going to Chicago, right?
I mean, being here, I'm sure all the Bulls fans would love it. I remember one time back in 2007, I think it was, Derrick Rose ends up being the first pick in the draft. The Bulls had like the 8th worst odds, so never say never with these odds. But listen, if you're Houston or San Antonio and you end up with the number 1 pick, that's a massive coup. If you're the Philadelphia 76ers and you end up with the number 1 pick, New Orleans Pelicans, and you pair them with Zion, that's a massive, massive coup for them. But listen, which teams probably need him most? You have the Utah Jazzes of the world, the Washington Wizards of the world, of course, Charlotte. Those are teams, Toronto, Brooklyn, where, you have hope. You have a player you can kind of start to really build your culture and infrastructure around. And that's what a lot of people look at Cooper Flagg at. He has the focus, the temperament. He's got all the qualities I think it takes to be a star player in this league. I talk to GMs and people around the league. He reminds a lot of people of Anthony Davis.
Okay, Anthony Davis, obviously his future, we will deal with later, because that was a big part of the regular season. Congrats to whoever ends up getting the number 1 overall pick tonight. And remember, Ryan Smith said on our program, the Utah Jazz have never traded up to number 1. This might be, I don't know if he was alluding to potentially making a move or if that's just like hoping that they end up getting the number 1 overall pick. Tonight should be electrifying. We appreciate the hell out of you, Shams.
I will say, Pat, they've got 7 first-round picks of their own to trade. They've got 2 others, so that's 9. They've got 2 more from. They have like, if I'm doing the 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. They have like 13, 14 first-round picks that they can use in trades. I'm not saying they're going to use all of them to go get number 1 in Cooper Flagg, but I did some research there for you. They've got over a dozen first-round picks that, as Ryan Smith exclusively told you, even if they don't get the number 1 pick, they're going to be trying to go for it.
I think so, yeah. That's basically what he was alluding to. Yeah. And I was like, Ryan, you're a good businessman. You're kind of giving up all your leverage right now. And he was like, I think he just wants his fans to know, like, hey, I know it was a bad year. I know people aren't happy, but now we're in a position to go. Is Cooper Flagg the right guy? Utah? I mean, potentially.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, it's potentially the guy. We appreciate the hell out of you. You're the man.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Happy Mother's Day. Love you, Mom. And I'm sure I'll get an opportunity to get the line right next time.
Okay.
Blew that.
Yeah,
It's already over, Shams. Ladies and gentlemen, Shams Charania.
Shams.